Welcome to the Fulfillment Project podcast, where we, the seekers, unite together to step into our higher selves and highest purpose. I'm your host, Simpli Sara, and I'm glad that we have found each other here today. My aim for this show is to give you some tools and strategies along with the awareness of emotional intelligence and intuition as you create a life and business from alignment, creating more joy and fulfillment every single day. Hello, sister friend. Welcome to the Fulfillment Project podcast, or welcome back. If you are a new time listener, this is a space where we talk about you, the woman behind the business, behind the relationship, behind the family life, even behind her own health and fitness and personal development goals. And this space where we can really stop and check in with ourselves and ask ourselves a really honest question. How am I really doing here? If you listened to my last episode, you would have heard, the story of really how my life blew up and came crumbling down about 2 years ago when COVID hit, and how it was the best thing that had ever happened to me because it allowed me to really evaluate how I was showing up in my life and what I was creating and those states that I was creating in. And I had this moment where, I know you listen to podcasts, obviously, or you watch YouTube videos, wherever you're listening or watching here. And if you're a business owner, you care to develop yourself, you care to learn, you care to understand high performance habits and how to be organized and how to be disciplined. And maybe you read the books and you go to the conferences and buy the courses and hire the coaches and all the things to work on yourself, like I did for about a decade or so. And I did all that. And I got to the point where I realized that not that my personal development didn't serve me, because it did, but there was a development of myself that I had been completely lacking, which was that true inner part of myself. If you believe in having a soul, or if you believe that you have an inner light or an inner being or a spirit or God or the universe running through you, you're really going to connect with this conversation, because I truly believe that we have an inner being. And whether you decide to believe that or not, you can be discerning with your answer there. But I believe that we have an inner being. And this inner being is that highest possible version of ourselves. It's at that highest frequency. It is engaged. It feels totally expressed and free to be itself. It has inspired energy. It feels joy. It feels on purpose. It is in flow states. It is productivity, but happiness and ease, and really just this completeness for the moments that are unfolding in front of us. And I know that because I have tapped into that. And I know that because I have found that peace within myself. And now it is my everyday work in order to keep that alignment, which is why I'm so passionate about teaching alignment and what I've called the aligned intelligence, and finding this intelligence within ourselves so that we can show up as our highest self, learn that self-mastery. So we are creating a life that we are truly enjoying. Because if we're not enjoying what we're creating, what are we doing? I recognize that we were fed this lie of, joy is on the other side of hardship and struggle. And not that there isn't ever challenges within our growth or within the things that we're doing. But if we have to grit our teeth, and if we have to rev up our nervous system, and if we have to burn ourselves out, and if we have to action from uninspired energy, are we really creating what we want to create? And so when I had this moment 2 years ago, I'm such a seeker. I'm a seeker of knowledge. I'm a seeker of wisdom. I'm a seeker of methods. I'm a seeker of techniques to be able to help and develop myself. And I've been doing that for so long. And so I took this different approach of, how do I work on this inner part of me? We can call this, spiritual work or inner growth or personal transformation. I like to call it self-mastery, because that just means a lot to me. And so when I went seeking for a lot of information, I went back and I took a ton of courses. I took a course in shamanic life coaching. I took a course in spiritual life coaching. I'm trained in emotional intelligence work and NLP work, and read so many books and attended, so many online masterclasses, and just really dove all into this inner work to figure it out for myself. And I had always heard of the words, like, everything is energy. And I've heard of high frequency and low frequency and good vibes. And, obviously we want to be up in those good high vibrations, and heard that languaging for so many years. And not that I didn't believe it, because I enjoyed it and I resonated with that languaging, but I didn't know what it was or how to do it or how to know if I was on the right track of doing it. And is it just this positive thinking? Well, we're still not shifting inside of us and hoping that one day there's just this like click? Or is it stepping into someone different, becoming something different, changing our inner being, or that relationship and that alignment that we have with our inner being? And I realized that in shamanic philosophy, they had this concept of the whole self that I absolutely freaking love. And it makes so much sense to me. And I want to break this down for you. And I hope that it might serve you on your journey as well. And so this concept of the whole self is that there are different sections of, I guess we could say, like who we are. When we say myself, we refer to ourselves a lot. Like, I like this, I don't like this, myself this, myself that, I feel this, I know myself as this. So we express ourselves as like myself or I. And there's these different bodies of energy that make that up. There is our physical self, which is obviously this fleshy meat suit that we live in. It is our organs, it is our nervous system. And that physical self has a vibration. Like, this is science. This is not woo-woo. This vibration can be measured. And depending on the vitality of all of this, all of these organs and tissue and this living matter that we must inhabit, there's a vibration. And this vibration can be high, it can be low, or we can say it can be light, or it can be dense. And I even want you to think about your physical self. If I said to you, picture or feel dense vibration within you, you would most likely feel this like suppression of energy, this downgrading of energy, this heaviness within us, this stuckness, or even like walking through mud, or just things are just not revved up and going. And I know we've all felt like that, even think about when you're sick. But even when we're not sick, what is that health of your physical self? Are you at that full vitality? Are you at that full frequency? The second part of our full self is our mental self, our mind, that conscious and subconscious parts of ourself, that filter that everything we see and do and touch and taste and smell must run through our mind, that gives us a meaning for our life, where we create stories around the reality that we are taking in. What's the vibration of that? Are the thoughts that we're having higher vibrations? Having positivity and optimism and eagerness and willingness, seeing perfection, seeing love, seeing completion? Or are we thinking in disappointing thoughts, frustrating thoughts, worrisome thoughts, sad thoughts, jealousy thoughts, envious thoughts? They're two completely different things, and they really decrease or increase the vitality of this mental body, which is part of ourselves. The third part of the whole self is the emotional self. Our mind gives us a meaning, which gives us an emotion. And really, this is how we experience our life. We feel things. And even if I said to you right now, like, how are you feeling? Like, how's your day going? Like really, like, how are you feeling? You would be able to tap into an emotional state that you are in or that you were in. And this truly is, like what I said, how we experience our life. And so we really need to look at this mental body. Are we having higher emotions like love, like gratitude, like joy, feeling free? Or are we having lower emotions, sadness, depression, apathy? All they're two completely different states. And I know we're obviously like, oh yeah, Sarah, like, of course I want to be on that high frequency. But how do we do that? The fourth part of the whole self is our intuitive self, or we can call this our spiritual self. It's that inner knowing. It's that inner communication that we get. It is those gut feelings. It is those visions. It is those thoughts. It is those, I'll say, voices. And those of you who are highly in touch with your intuition understand what I mean when I say like those voices or those words that come across your mind, that guidance from us. And when we can harness a higher vibration of our physical self, mental self, emotional self, our intuitive self fully opens up as well and exists in that higher vibration. So it's a clear channel for us to be able to actually hear ourselves. And the last part of the whole self is our self-expression. And so with our physical, mental, emotional, and intuitive self, are we fully at our highest capacity expressing our truth, expressing that authentic version of ourselves, expressing that totality of who we are without feeling like we need to hold anything back, without feeling any shame around anything that's happening in your life, with having that full acceptance of who we are and where we are and what we're doing and where we're going. And this is our whole self. And if we're not working on the totality of our whole self, we're having this fragmentation. We're having this dis-ease or this disconnection with ourselves. And truly working on the vibration of all of these is what allows us to have these higher vibrational living states. And I've learned how to do this through what I'm calling the aligned intelligence method. You know, it's learning this intelligence of our whole self and learning how to master it. Self-mastery of the whole self. If you're interested in this topic, I want to go in on this with a masterclass with you, because this is really just the tip of the iceberg. And honestly, I could sit here and chat for hours with you about this, and I want to. Because if you are someone who wants to feel more engaged with your life, if you want to have inspired energy, if you want to feel, states of joy, if you want to feel like you are fully showing up in your life and the life you are creating, we first have to recognize that there is work to do. And if we want to live in these higher states, we need to gain some awareness. It's the first step to aligned intelligence. How do we gain awareness on where we're at? Like, how do we turn that GPS on? How do we figure out where we're at? How do we have a really good look, an honest look at what's happening in our lives? And this isn't to even say that maybe life is not good for you right now. I'm doing this every single day. Where can I make this better? Like, where can I show up as a higher expression of myself in my life? Because truly, it's always an evolution and an unfolding and a becoming into these higher versions of ourselves, becoming more aligned with that natural state, that natural inner being that we have, which is pure light, which is pure love, which is pure joy, which feels peace all the time. We just cut it off because of this disharmony with the full self and the lower frequencies that we, I'll say, are choosing to live in because we're not doing the work in order to shift that. And so June 15th is when I'm hosting this masterclass, The Art of Aligned Intelligence. If you are someone who wants to do inner work or even understand, like, what does inner growth work look like? What does self-mastery really mean? How do I come at this from a strategy perspective? I love strategy. If you've been following me for any time, I'm like, how do I do it? What's the system? What's the method? Tell me my action steps. Tell me how, if I'm going in the right direction. How am I checking in with myself to know that this is happening? And how do we be able to have conversations with ourselves from an honest perspective to be able to constantly be auditing and having this awareness? This is what I want to go into with you. Let's talk about aligning your life. Let's talk about getting connected with yourself. And let's learn how to have this aligned intelligence so that we are fully showing up and creating that life that I know that we all want. Because you're going to do the action steps to create your life. Like, you're going to build the business, you're going to have the relationship, you're going to engage with the family. Let's just talk about how you're doing it and that energy that you're taking into every single situation. And so join me in the masterclass June 15th. I'll leave you some links in the show notes or the description, or you can go to simplysara.com/masterclass. And I hope to see you there. Thank you for joining me on this episode today. My website, simplysara.com, is a great place for me to continue to support you on your journey to alignment, joy, and fulfillment. There you will find upcoming retreats that I am hosting, resources, books, and many other helpful tools to help you on your travels through this thing called life.